Okay. Well, today I'm going to talk to you about healing as a spiritual principle. And some of you have been in classes. We've had a 5-week class that we did. And we talked about different principles, including meditation. We talked about affirmations, visualization. We did really nice vision boards. Had a lot of fun doing that. And today I want to talk to you about health as a spiritual principle. I want to introduce 3 other tools that can be used when you're dealing with health. That is denial, which is just saying no to illness, forgiveness, and love. Thank you for that song on love.
I missed it.
So today, health as a spiritual practice means you have to keep your attention on health. And you have to have radiant health, maximum highest body functioning health. And I call it supercharged health. You have to pay attention. Pay attention to your thinking, pay attention to your body, and pay attention to what's going on around you. I was watching the TV yesterday, and there was, and this happens all the time. There are all these ads with people that are sick, and then they advertise drugs. And then they say, but if you take this drug, you could have a heart attack or death, or, it goes on and on. And it's like, what? No wonder we're confused about our health. It's like, what is the medical, profession telling us about health? Ernest Holmes said, he's the founder of religious science. Some of you may not be familiar with him, but in a book he has called A New Design for Living, he said, we need never view human personality as something unreal or unworthy, but rather as an individualization of the divine. It is a universal spirit that is incarnated in each one in a unique way that gives warmth and color and variation. So what he's saying is we're all different, but we're divine. And we are the home of the divine. Right in us, as us, and through us, we express. Our body is that holy of holies. I also today want to share with you what I learned from an experience that I had 3 weeks ago in the ER. So, sometimes allopathic medicine, we kind of take it for granted that it can fix everything for us, and it is wonderful. And in religious science, we believe in a pill and a prayer, whatever helps to heal you. But sometimes it doesn't work. So I'm grateful for the use of spiritual mind treatment. We call it spiritual healing. Each of us contains like a perfect design for the human body. Each of us is a pattern of perfection. And it's a vibration. It's a vibration of this perfection. And we can enjoy perfect health. It's not unusual to be perfectly healthy. Choose perfect health.
Thank God.
Your healing power is quietly at work right now in your body. It's repairing cells, carrying off waste, nourishing tissues, and with oxygen and glucose and amino acids, healing wounds. Your body is amazing. Every little cell is the center of life. Did you know, this is just an odd factoid, but your tongue is covered in about 8,000 taste buds, 8,000, and each one of those has 100 cells. So you got 800,000.
800,000?
Helping you taste your food. And every second, your body produces 25 million new cells. That means in 15 seconds, you will have produced more cells than there are people in the United States. It's pretty miraculous. We have between 60 to 100,000 miles of blood vessels. Your heart alone today will have beat 115,000 times. Ernest Holmes says, we are surrounded and immersed in an infinite good. How much of this infinite good is ours? He says, all of it, all of it. It's your choice and my choice. So I have a little short story. Scott Aubrey is a minister that I know, and he puts out an email every week called Spiritual Passages. And this is a short story where he is talking to a fellow named Jerry. And Jerry's the kind of guy that's always in a good mood, and he always has something positive to say. And when you ask him how he's doing, he says, well, if I were any better, I'd be twins. And this is his philosophy. Jerry says, each morning I wake up and I say to myself, Jerry, you have two choices. You can choose to be in a good mood, or you can choose to be in a bad mood. And he says, I choose to be in a good mood. Each time something bad happens, I can choose to be a victim, or I can choose to learn from it. I choose to learn from it. Every time someone comes to me complaining, I can choose to accept their complaining, or I can point out the positive side of life. I choose the positive. And as a restaurant owner, Jerry did something that you're never supposed to do. After a busy weekend, he left the back door unlocked to receive deliveries, and instead he got 3 robbers. While he tried to open the safe, one of the robbers shot him. After 18 hours of surgery and weeks of therapy, Jerry was released from the hospital, and Scott asked Jerry what had gone through his mind during the robbery. He said, well, the first thing that went through my mind was, I should have locked that door. But then as I lay on the floor, I remembered I had 2 choices. I could choose to live, I could choose to die. Well, weren't you scared? Scott said. Well, the paramedics were great. They kept telling me I was going to be fine. But when they wheeled me into the emergency room, I saw the faces of the doctors and the nurses, and that's when I got scared. I could see they believed I was going to die. I needed to take action.
No, you're not. We're going to save you.
So what did you do? Scott said. Well, one nurse was shouting questions at me, trying to keep me conscious. And she said, what are you allergic to? Are you allergic to anything? And I said, yes. And the doctors and nurses stopped working, and they waited for the reply. And I said, bullets. Over their laughter, I told them, the most important thing, I'm choosing to live. Operate on me as if I am alive and not dead. And it's interesting, Abraham Lincoln said, the health you enjoy is largely your choice. Your choice. So choose health, choose aliveness. But I just have to tell you this little joke, little tiny joke. Mark Twain, you all know I love Mark Twain, and he said, be careful about reading health books. You might die of a misprint. So,
that is good.
Well, in our newsletter, if you got the newsletter, I talked about something called mental equivalence. Now, in order to demonstrate something in your life, like perfect health, you need to have a mental equivalent. It's thinking, it's a thought, and it's a vision. And so, do you want a greater concept? What about, can you walk 10,000 steps? Are you up for that? How about walking 5 miles? What about dancing a little bit, maybe a little salsa or something? What about swimming some laps? What about releasing 5 pounds? What about just having great sleep, enjoying your body more, unlimited energy? Open up your mind. This is what an equivalent is, a mental equivalent, is put that in mind. Put those healthy body ideas in mind. A former minister and friend of mine, I used to live in Portland, Oregon, and her name is Maurene. Now, she developed kidney disease. Both kidneys were affected. She was in the hospital. And not expected to make it, actually. And a science mind practitioner came into her room, you know, a lay minister, and talked to her. And she said, "Can you believe you can heal?" And Mary said, no, I don't believe I can heal. And the minister talked to her, and Mary had said, well, I got pregnant at 14. I had to go to school at night with the bad boys and the pregnant girls, and I just feel shameful. I feel like I have a lot of shame on me, and I'm not worthy. And the minister said to her, "Do you believe I can believe you can heal?" Mary thought about it. She said, "Yeah, I believe you believe for me." So this practitioner did a healing prayer for her, took her into surgery. They removed one kidney. By the time they got around to checking the other kidney, it had healed. It had healed completely. So we look at, you know, we say, is this a miracle? Well, through prayer, I mean, we all know it's not a miracle, it's an everyday expectation of prayer. And the type of prayer we do is called a spiritual mind treatment. And just for some of you that don't know how to do it, we do three things, and we base it on what Jesus taught. You know, there's one presence, one God. There's only one. I am one with it. This is the unification. And then the third thing we do is we speak our word. The word has power. So Catherine, I don't know if any of you know Catherine Mace. She wrote a book called Intimate Conversations with the Divine. It's spelled M-Y-S-S, but I think it's pronounced Mace. She said, in keeping with the paradoxical nature of the divine, this vast, sacred, living, breathing, holy cosmos is also very intimate, for we each reside within the nature of God. And the bridge between this impersonal cosmic system and each other is prayer. Prayer is our channel of communication, the direct line between the soul and the divine. We are built for this divine intimacy, for the awe, the belief, and the inspiration it creates. So prayer, and especially spiritual mind prayer, healing prayer, is our direct line to the divine. Now, mental equivalence, I talked about mental equivalence, and the whole teaching of Jesus is based on the idea that we are surrounded by this intelligent law, which does unto us as we believe. He said, as you think, so shall you be. If our belief is limited to only a little, then that's what we get, only a little. We call this the law of mental equivalence. How much life can we experience? As much as we can embody. As we grow and evolve, there should be no limit. There are times we have a mental equivalent of illness. Well, then you're going to create illness in your life. We can't manifest divine health if we have a mental equivalent of sickness and weakness. Now, what did Jesus say to the paralyzed man? He said, take up your bed and walk. Because Jesus knew when he said this that the man would get up and walk. He believed that he had an equivalent of that response. So the law of mind operates perfectly, but in order to make a demonstration, we must have a mental equivalent in our own mind, a blueprint, a mold for the universe to fill. If you believe you're chronically ill, then you carry a mental equivalent of chronic illness. If you believe you're sickly or frail, then you are. So we need a new vision for ourselves. Jesus said, as you think, so shall you be, which is cause and effect. Your thinking is the cause to the demonstration of illness in your life. So we say here, stop your stinking thinking. Stop it. Change the cause. Go back to cause. Go back to the first idea of unity with the divine, unity within you. Create an aversion. So what is the truth? Is the truth for you to be sick? No. Your body is the home of the Lord, the immortal soul, the Holy of Holies. Create a new vision and start right now. Walking, swimming, seeing yourself, exercising, moving, singing, listening to music, loving every inch of your body. So 3 weeks ago, I went to the ER. I had had an infection and got a prescription, and apparently I had a reaction to the prescription. I was having trouble breathing and my heart was totally out of rhythm. I went to the hospital and I'm gasping for air, and they put these little things on you to tell your heartbeat, and they kept saying, there must be something wrong, there must be something wrong, and I'm going, yeah, there's something wrong right here. And I was in pain and I was struggling to breathe. And you know, when you're in that place, sometimes you yell at God out here instead of God in here. You know, it's like, how did this happen to me? It was my doctor's fault. Whatever. I'm the one who took the pill. And we start railing against the universe. And instead of going within and realigning with the one. Now, also when you're sick, you're self-absorbed. You know, you're in pain, and it's very hard to do a prayer when you're in pain. So I asked Robert. Robert was at my bedside, and I said, Robert, please do a healing prayer for me. And I started to calm down and listen to every word he said. And I closed my eyes. I started to relax. I felt less anxious. My breathing slowed down. I aligned with spirit. And as I was laying there, I thought to myself, what's really going on here, Spirit? What is really going on here? And then all of a sudden, bingo, the tears started coming. And I realized, okay, what's in back of this? I was afraid because my daughter told me she's now in the Marshall Islands and she's going to sail with her father and a friend back to Fiji. That's like 1,000 miles. And I realized I had been stuffing this fear right here in my chest. And it was like restricting my breathing, this fear. And so I laid there and I also did a prayer for my daughter, knowing that she's safe, she's protected, she's one with the ocean, and she loves doing what she's doing. And things started to move. After the 2 prayers, it was if something moved really in my body, and it just shifted. And all of a sudden I could breathe again, and my heart went back into normal sinus rhythm. And it was as if this fear and this tension just dried up. It just blew away. It was like dust was gone. You know, spiritual mind healing will never be in real competition with medical practices, because its appeal is limited to people who view life as a spiritual experience. And I know everyone here sees life as a spiritual experience. Despite this, there are many thousands who believe in it and practice it every day. We use both. Unlike Christian Science, we believe in both, pill and a prayer. Medicine was never advanced as it is today. We have wonderful science. So you may remember, though, from Sunday school, there were prophets in the Old Testament who healed. But there are 42 mentions of Jesus healing in the New Testament. He healed the deaf, the dumb, the blind. He healed the lepers, paralytic, the centurion's servant, the mother of Peter's wife. He raised Lazarus from the dead. He never asked people, well, what are your symptoms? He never said, tell me about your sickness. No, he only saw the perfection in each person. And he knew that perfection would bring them back into oneness, alignment. So he always said, he said, Father and I are one. He was in alignment with the one. And he also said the work, that he was not responsible for what was happening. It was Spirit Father within him that was doing the work. The other thing he said, and I'm paraphrasing here, he said, what I do, you can do, and greater still. So you can heal yourself, you can heal other people. That is the practice. Back in the 1800s, basically, the medical society was in its infancy, and people did go to healers. They went to spiritual mind healers like Phineas Quimby, Emma Curtis Hopkins, who wrote The Scientific Mental Practice, Mary Baker Eddy, Christian Science, Nona Brooks of Divine Science, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore of Unity Church. You know, they founded their practices on healing people. And you can still call up today, you can call up religious science, you can call up Unity and get a prayer on the phone. And of course, Ernest Holmes, he was the youngster in the bunch. Just a little story about Nona Brooks. Nona Brooks was from Colorado, and she and her sister were there when a rancher came over and said, you gotta come and help. My wife has fallen and broken her leg. And the nearest hospital was like a 5-hour ride by horseback. So she went over to see the wife, and she sat there and prayed. And as she prayed, it is said that you could hear the bones come back into place in her leg. And she stayed there. Finally she left, went home, came back in the morning. The woman was up walking around doing chores. Totally healed. Totally healed. You know, and this is normal for early metaphysical teachers, everyday miracles. So live your life with awareness of these miracles. You know, and again, this is, and I've talked about the quantum field before, this is how you plug into the possibilities. You plug into that quantum field is through your consciousness. So, 3 quick things. One is denial. Denial is saying no. Denial is like you're sitting down having lunch with friends and they start talking about what's wrong with them, and you want to talk about what's wrong with you. Don't. Just say no. Just say, I'm feeling great. I'm getting a little exercise. I'm eating right. And I'm happy. I love my body. So just say no. Say no to that. You know, and you know, just like we have heart attacks and cancer and bacteria and viruses and COVID. Is this who you really are? No, that's not who you really are. You are a spiritual being. So there's so much confusion out there. Disease is like dis-ease. You're out of ease. You're out of your vibration. You're in this uneasiness and this confusion. So release the dis-ease. The other thing, think about is forgiveness. And it was Charles Fillmore from Unity Church that started the practice of before you go to sleep at night, sit there and say, is there anyone I need to forget? I want to forgive. I forgive everybody in my life. Even my animal. Sometimes I forgive my dog when she's wild. But at night, before you go to sleep, forgiveness is a wonderful tool because it allows for this flow of love, this energy. And the last thing that I'm mentioning is love, because love is a creative spiritual tool. God is love. And we talk about it up here, the candle's love is, God is love. And it's flowing through you, and it's flowing as you and through you. So this week, look in the mirror and say, I love you. You know? And
I love you.
Your body is the temple of the divine. The divine lives here. Let it grow. So just remember, vibrant health is normal, no matter what your age. Forget the TV ads. Don't go to lunch with negative health people. You're not a victim. So in closing, I just wanted to say, and we could say this together with me if you'd like to, there is perfect and divine order in every organ, function, and cell of my body.
In every organ, function, and cell of my body.
I am healed, whole, and healthy.
I am healthy.
Whole, and healthy.
I am loved.
I am loved.
And so it is.
And so it is.